Hey, so today's garden tour is a little different. It's going to be a walkthrough of yesterday and then a working tour because finally not too hot and I can actually work outside. So I've been cleaning up a bit and I'm going to harvest a bunch of these Brussels sprouts for leaves and these kales that were interplanted too big or too tight. And I'm going to keep the ones that are starting to set Brussels sprouts and let them grow on and become big plants. But all the other little guys are going to get thinned out. I'm a weirdo who overplants brassicas and thins them out like carrots, but never thins out my carrots. So, you know, it works. But anything that doesn't look good for us is going to go to the chickens. And so this big old bucket that used to be their feed bucket that got a crack in it is now fresh chicken snacks from the garden bucket. They've already gotten one full one of these, which I'll show you because they're very, very happy. But they're going to get more kale, which also makes them irrationally happy. If you do not weed your garden, you end up with mystery mushrooms and calendula volunteers and other wildflower volunteers, and all of the ground elder and raspberry plants. I'm doing proof of nonsense, and then I'm going to fix all the nonsense. Raspberries! We actually have raspberries, and they are ripe. Awesome! Yeah. Harvested potatoes and then replanted the same plants. So we'll see if we get more potatoes from them. But yeah. This is the before with a big old mess. It's fine. This tomato plant is being choked out by these beans, and it's kind of funny. We have so much fruit set. Hopefully it will ripen. This is just like a tomato and kale jungle. Dill. Oh, that definitely looks like caterpillar or slug damage. I need to get the BT out here. Ground elder invasion. It's fine. The pumpkin patch. It's getting really good. It's like bananas how big it is. But yeah, I planted too many plants in here, but they are lots and lots of nutrition in this bed. So this is happening, and that is happening, and this is happening. It's gonna be good, I think. I hope. I have hope. This is buckets of nonsense. Pineapple weed. This is setting Brussels sprouts already in there. So I need to go through here and thin these out more. But the ones that are setting sprouts get to stay because they're setting sprouts in the leaf nodes. Yep, that one's doing it too. So if they have sprouts, they are winning the war. And this is a ridiculous amount of kale. Yeah, it's a big old mess. It's a big old mess. big old mess. It's okay. It's kind of on purpose. And I'm going to see if my frog friend is here. Oh. Here, frog friend. Hello, frog friend. Hi, frog friend. Thank you for eating the slugs. Oh. There is another frog. Might be the same frog. Yep, there you go. Another frog that likes to hang out in the boys' sunflowers. So, yeah, we have at least 2 frogs in the garden, which is awesome. Happy frogs! That one also has Brussels sprouts forming in the nodes. It's exciting. Okay. This will all be different tomorrow. I think the weather gods might actually be on my side today. I got attacked by cockchafers, which is the best word for June bugs and the British term. But yeah, those water beetles, the brown ones, fuzzy bastards. Hello, bird. Were swarming last night when I tried to come clean up the garden and harvest some stuff. So I only managed to harvest some of the pineapple weed before I was like, nope, I'm out. But I'm going to try to clean up a bunch of this and plant out some of my starts. And yeah, it's finally not too hot for MS to destroy me before 10 o'clock in the morning, because it's 10 o'clock and I just got up. Yeah. Hey, birds. There's so much life in my garden. I'm going to go see if I can find our frog friends, because we have frog friends. One of them I'm pretty sure lives under this. Are you here? Or have you been harassed enough? Okay. There's one there normally, and then sometimes there's one by the strawberries or the pumpkins. Frogs. Okay. They may be on adventures because it's not too hot for them either to seek refuge in those 2 shady spots. But, oh, my pumpkin patch. It's so good. Look at this lady. Look at this little lady. Yeah, we should get, I hope we get all of the squash. And I hope it doesn't overtake my blackberries and my tateberries. I keep turning the vines, and then this is getting close to finished, which is awesome because I could use that bed. My plan is to use this as a seed starting bed once we clear the mustard. So yeah, it should be good. There's yellow dock and all of this is in there, but it's fine. It's fine. There are worse things to happen than having wild edibles. And yeah, these will be perfect for the kids tomorrow. We go on strawberry hunts every day right now. And so the kids come out and they pick their strawberries. Oh, I'm very clumsy. But yeah, I'm like, these kind of have like this very narrow window of perfection before they get overripe and they're not so tasty. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's like move it or lose it. And I try not to lose it. And when the kids aren't here, I actually get to eat some strawberries. Sometimes they'll let me have one, but most of the time they all belong to toddlers, which, fair. That is absolutely fair. And that one's perfect. When the stem just comes off the back, you know it's perfect. This bolted red Russian kale is absolutely one of my favorite things in the garden, so I'm leaving it. I took out that purple sprouting broccoli to give everything else in here more sun. And I'm going to leave this open because there's no point since it's just got a hole busted in the side. It makes it a little harder for the birds to get in here, but I don't know that there's like much that they're going to go after in here. This one, on the other hand, I think the birds would be super into. So I'm going to leave this one closed. This Brussels sprout is setting sprouts in the nodes, which is awesome. And then there's some beets growing in the shade of it. So I'm going to remove the lower leaves on this guy. And there is a mushroom. I don't know what kind, but I love that there is a mushroom in here. And then more beets that I transplanted. So there are a bunch of beets in here. That's just a target for the birds to come and attack. Whereas that one beet there, I'm hoping will survive because it's hiding-ish. And it'll make it easier to water these if I have this open. I spray through that whole hole. It's not the best, but it seems to be sufficient for here. So yeah, back to work. Got some sorrel broadleaf dock seeds. And that's the first bucket of free chicken food from tending to the garden. It's not too bad. I've only done some of the walkway, those 2 beds, and these 2 beds. And that's just a bucket of free chicken food. I'm gonna weed that one because that's got some chickweed in it, which will be good for them. And then I think I'm gonna water these 4 beds. We might get rain, but I have very good drainage, so I'm not worried about it. Water those 4 beds and then continue moving on through the chaos. Because, yeah, that's what's happening. That guy needs attention. This one started to set nodes, but it also bolted and is going to flower, which is not a bad thing. I will still eat that tonight, but it means this should not stay in here because it's not going to give me Brussels. It's going to give me Brussels flowers. These roses were planted by the original owner. And when Frodo and Gimli died, I buried them underneath. So these roses are fed by Frodo and Gimli, and it is probably one of the healthiest, prettiest, most pleasantly odorific, bee-friendly things in the garden. And I feel like I need to build an arbor or something for them because they are absolutely beautiful and they smell great and the bees love them, and they are fed by the hobbit and the dwarf who died. So yeah, they're just like weirdly marking the first chickens I had that died's grave. And Frodo and Gimli are the only chickens that I've actually properly buried because they were my first ones. And also they're the only adult ones that died for reasons that we didn't know, right? Like the other ones we butchered to put in the fridge and the freezer. But when a chicken randomly dies, I don't eat them. So this got buried, and that was almost 4 years ago now that Frodo and Gimli died. And yeah. Oh, no, it's over 4 years. Whew. Yeah, no, because Frodo died the week before my daughter was born. In the Great Escape, where all the hobbits and Gandalf escaped the Shire. So that just feels like original ending. Yeah. Enjoy the beauty and the bees. They're so happy. Hey, guys. But yeah. And greedy little chickens. Look at all of that they have. And they're like, give us these brassicas, please. Please. Give us the brassicas. But yeah, they have a ridiculous amount of food. And I already gave them breakfast. So this is a very silly thing that's happening. Oh, and yesterday I gave them the fish heads and the skeletons of the sill that I made for dinner. Sill is herring. I went to go fish after custody shuffle, and every time I go to the dock, people catch fish that they have no intention of eating or keeping, and they just let them die on the dock. And then as they're leaving, they're like, hey, do you want my fish? And every time I'm like, yes, I will take your fish and take it home. And if it's not good to eat, it will go to my chickens, or it will become bait, or I will eat it. And so 3 of the I got 3 still yesterday from random people. 2 of them were good and I ate them. The other one, kids were just like bashing it on the ground forever. So it was incredibly tenderized and completely destroyed, and like it made me sad. So I gave it to my chickens because they could eat it and make that into eggs and live happier, healthier lives. And then the fact that the kids basically tortured a fish for an hour didn't go to waste as much as possible. Yeah, what makes me sad is those kids had 4 fish. They gave me 1 of the 4. So I have no idea what they did with the other 3. I'm hoping they fed them to seagulls, because then at least something got to eat them and it wasn't just for no reason. And I really hope those fish died instantly and didn't feel most of that. Yeah, just responsible animal husbandry is incredibly important to me. And like unnecessary pain is not what it's about. Like, I've harvested my chickens, I butcher them myself, like, but it is about being respectful to the animal, right? And then using as much of it as possible. And what I can't use goes into my compost. So, yeah, like if you're gonna eat meat, like I don't think you're a better person for raising it, but I think it is better just to like make decisions, if possible, that benefit your animals. And just unnecessary cruelty is unnecessary. And especially for wild fish, like, come on, man. Like, just it's unnecessary. But I know kids are kids, so try to not get upset and teach them better next time, maybe. But these guys will probably give me very healthy eggs this week because they ate fish. Hey, Legolas. Legolas is the king rooster. That's why he's checking me out. Okay, here, let's give you a Brussels sprout. Let's see what you think of that, buddy. Yeah. In case you were unaware, chickens love brassicas. Kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, absolute favorites. I gave them some peas and broad beans and a whole bunch of other kinds of greens so that they didn't only get brassicas, but yeah. They love brassicas. It's the other reason they're not allowed in my garden, because they would just eat all of my vegetables. Yeah, you guys. I have a bunch of volunteer wildflowers, and I haven't weeded that bed in 2 weeks, and it's invaded with ground elder. So these are not going to go to the chickens. They're just going to go to the city yard waste. And yeah, I'm picking out these guys that just want to take over the world. Razor lettuce is not my friend. I mean, you can technically eat it, but I frankly have enough things to eat in my garden that don't have razor blades for teeth. So, you know, I'd rather not have thistles. I'll keep the dandelions and leave the thistles. But yeah, these are calendula volunteers. I'm gonna leave some of them. I planted calendula here last year, so yeah, tons and tons of volunteers. I'm gonna leave some of the calendula, but I'm gonna pull out this fireweed and all of that chaos over there, and pot up the raspberries to give to people at work, because one of the guys at work bought a farm, so he needs plants. I gave him tomatoes earlier, and so I'm going to give him raspberries, and then I'm going to plant some more in there. And we have so many raspberries that are ready today. These are the ones that I transplanted earlier, and they actually gave me the first fruit. So stressing him out made him reproduce, so that's kind of fun. Yeah. Mistakes. Okay. Random harvest of things as I cleaned up the garden. We have so many fruit getting set in here. Beans and squash and grapes and tomatoes and peppers, and hopefully eggplant. Eggplant is flowering. hopefully that means we will get some eggplant. It is a nightshade and brassica jungle in here. But, that guy's seen better days. I'll need to harvest that before it goes to flower. These are my San Marzano tomatoes. This bottom plant has been having lots of blossom end rot. So we'll see if we actually get a harvest. But it's my first time growing them, and I'm growing them in a very unideal way. Cayenne peppers are starting to set. I'm just like very high intensity planting. There's a cucumber just in the midst of this chaos. Dino kale, Armenian yard longs are in the back there, and I can't get to them, but they're taking over. So I'm hoping they find their way, and then they'll get to a place where I can grab their fruit. That would be awesome. One of these is a cantaloupe, I believe this one, and then that one is a loofah. There is 2 loofah, one of them is dying, so that's okay. Hopefully we'll actually get loofah this year. There's some okra down here, and broccoli and carrots. I just keep throwing carrots down to the ground cover because that's a silly thing that I'm doing. Snack peppers and bell peppers and tomatoes. And we almost have the first tomato in the greenhouse. A leek just because, but yeah. We almost have our first outside tomato. It's a little cherry tomato. These pears are coming along. Okay, Nona's beans are taking over and growing, so that's good. I planted some bush beans in here earlier last week, I think. So those have sprouted. This guy's almost ready to come out. So I'm just waiting for these pots to dry a little bit more, and then they will be ready to save the seeds, and I can take that plant out. Artichoke that is not very happy. Kale that's doing okay. Unimpressed melons and peppers. It's fine. But yeah, we harvested potatoes, and then I replanted them in this planter, and then put more potatoes on top. So we'll see. More potatoes, more potatoes, more potatoes. I probably should have taken those broccolis out and given them to the chickens, but I'll do that tomorrow. It's fine. But yeah, like those potatoes are going to need to get harvested soon. Oh, we have lots of things going on. Salad, carrot, and cucumber experiment is doing okay. These cucumbers are happy. Raspberries that need to get harvested. These are the raspberry runners, effectively, that I'm giving to a friend at work. This is garbage for the compost pile. But yeah, we're getting there. This is weeded and replanted with some more beans, and added a couple butternut squash that I started in the house. They needed a home. Yeah. Purple zinnia. We'll see what happens. Hello, Mr. B. I think I need to water this planter, and then I'll be done. There are just too many bees. I didn't want to disturb them. But yeah, we're getting there. Bees are still hanging on. The kids are harvesting them when they come out here. So that's the point. Oregano. Another zinnia. I just pulled all the salad out of here. So don't get precious with plants. When they stop doing what you want them to, take them out. It's okay. Blueberries, tomatoes, butternut squash in the back. Yeah. Kale that's getting eaten by snails and stuff, but that's okay. This bucket of chaos, it's okay. Like nothing's really changed over there, so gonna leave it. Chickens are losing their minds. This got a whole bunch of work done this morning. I pulled out or cut off the tops of the peonies. so that they could get out of the bed. Maybe they'll retreat. And flopped the spinach over that had bolted. So I'm just letting it set seed, and I'm going to drop seed and hopefully get volunteer spinach. Put a couple of squash back there so that hopefully we'll get some butternut squash in this bed with these corn. Another butternut squash, and then another butternut squash back there with this corn. This should be the first corn that matures. I planted this, I think, a month and a half, 2 months maybe before I planted that. Started these inside in cell trays and then transplanted out and kept them under cover. And then, yeah, we should get an early corn harvest. And then I trimmed all that back by hand and weeded to try and get this a little bit more sun on the most overcast of days. The overcast is good for transplanting out these squash because I did not harden them off. They also weren't very old. Hi, chickens. Razor lettuce I need to attack. It's okay. That is later Lauren's problem. Back garden. Well, you've already seen most of this in the work video. But yeah, we still have fava beans coming on. So I'm letting the broad beans go. And I'm making full with them, which is one of my favorite things to do because it's delicious. But yeah, so many aphids. I'm hoping ladybugs will come and take care of this, but right now ants are just farming them. But that's okay. Oh, the big old squash patch. My second round of carrots. There's some beets in there and some purple top turnips and some parsnips. The parsnips should stay for a very, very, very long time to get big. Yellow onions, fennel, which this fennel looks like it's about to flower, so I need to actually harvest that guy. Just a little sad, but that's okay. Yeah. Some of these onions are doing really well. And then I planted beans in here. And so they're coming up now, which is awesome. We are gonna get so many blackberries and tayberries this year, which makes me very, very happy. I planted these 3 or 4 years ago, I think. You lose track with perennials like that, but it takes a long time for them to get established if you don't have perfect conditions. Yeah, and I changed my mind. I closed this up just to keep the birds from eating it because this is the only place I have ong choy, which is water spinach. And so giving it a little bit more heat and a little protection and lots of water, we should be able to get a harvest on that, hopefully. Taking out that broccoli, it got rid of its shade. So that means the water will evaporate more, but it should get lots more sun. So it should start growing faster now. Brussels sprout got cleaned up. There was a second sprout back there that I took out just so that this one could have more room to grow, and it's under here to protect it from butterflies more than anything. But there's a hole in it, so sometimes I see butterflies in there, but they're not the ones that lay on the brassicas, so I have not freaked out about it yet. Red cabbage in the back, more Brussels sprouts, pretty girls, more broad beans. In this trench there used to be peas. I pulled them out, so I'm gonna resow some Oregon sugar snaps in that along this trellis so that we're using it. And then there's a cucumber in either end, so that should be okay. I'll do that later and water it in. Complete and utter chaos. No, it's fine. We'll see what happens. My sweet potatoes in this IKEA bag is doing awesome. This always does weirdly well. It's got onions and Brussels sprouts and carrots and a nasturtium. Like, I got 5 cabbages out of that bucket last year. I don't know why. This is the thing that always does the best, but that's the thing that does the best. Thin this out. Should probably thin it out some more, but this seemed like a reasonable amount to do today. Yeah, just eating the strawberries, not really doing anything to them. And yeah, waiting for the mustard to fully die back so we can harvest it and I can reclaim that bed. And then another planting of corn, but it's not being tended nearly as well, and it's got weed pressure, so it's not doing as well. And it's a little shaded by that wheelbarrow most of the day. So again, not doing as well. Kind of interesting just to see the different methods and how good or bad they do, depending on what you do. Our little pine tree that was in the driveway, and we just put it in there. We get volunteer pine trees in our driveway sometimes. It's very random. But yeah, cauliflower, kale, and Brussels sprouts. And lots of little tiny spring onions and a couple yellow onions in the corners. But yeah, it's getting there. Salad, carrots, salad. Feels like it's not that exciting anymore, but it's okay. The cherries are starting to change color, which is exciting. Maybe end of July. Like some years we get them in June because it's like super hot, but most of the time we get them late July, early August. So yeah, they're starting to change, and they're all maturing at different rates, which is good because it means we'll get staggered. But we got to make sure that we beat the birds to them, because most of the time the birds beat us to them. But yeah, we have a ton of cherries, and I tend to let anything above hit this line, right? Anything that I can't reach, it's free game for the birds. So all the top of the trees is for the birds. I will need to top this though, because it's getting a little out of control. I didn't prune it back this year or last year, so that was probably a mistake, but it was just not on my list of priorities. But as it's getting bigger, it's getting closer to the outbuilding, so I need to shape it back so that it doesn't overtake the shed. You know, that would not be good. And just keeping it lower is better for us. And then I need to trim the hedge in the back. You know, there's always too much work to do. Always too much work. And then apples are coming. They're not very tasty, but that's probably because I've never fertilized this tree, and it's a very old tree. But I don't know what the variety is, but the owners, when I bought the house, the previous owners said that like they weren't good and they just had them for the horses, which is why they sold their house, because they wanted to get a horse property. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We don't have horses, so that's not part of my life. Some beets that have bolted that I forgot to harvest. It's fine. More broad bean plants. I'm giving these a little bit to see if they grow more, and if they don't, I'm gonna harvest this out and replant this bucket with something else. Dino kale, maybe kohlrabi, I don't remember. It's leafy green brassica chaos in there. It's normal. Some tomatoes, some more tomatoes, sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes in the back. So yeah, container growing sweet potatoes, because that's where I have space. Oy. Okay, what else? Oh, these were inside and I moved them out. Those tomatoes are doing much better because I'm actually watering them. This one I'm just kind of letting die because it was already dying. And then oxalis. So I need to figure out something to do with them. And then those are my starts. And basil that has lost its sign. And cherry or plum tomatoes that are getting ready to harvest. So yeah, maybe we'll have those today for lunch. Yeah, I'm gonna go take this and soak the brassicas in water to rehydrate them. There's some raspberry leaf for tea for later, and peas, and a whole bunch of fava beans. And this is ginger, actually. This is a stem of ginger. So I'm gonna try to preserve that for tea. We'll see. I don't know. And then one little tiny red onion, also for my full spearmint. Yeah. For whatever reason, like the week before midsummer, it was super hot, and then week of midsummer, not like pretty overcast and cool and awesome, which allowed me to work in the garden for 3.5 hours. I've been in the garden for 3.5 hours. It's okay. It's good. It needed to happen. It makes your soul happy sometimes. because it does. It just makes your soul happy. But yeah, that fennel's going to get made into dinner some night this week. Should probably harvest it before that flower bulb fully comes out. It's okay. It's okay. And the backyard, the neighbor's farm did wheat this year, so we don't have as many cabbage whites, which is awesome. But there are definitely rape fields around us, so it's possible that once those get harvested, all the cabbage whites will come to me. I'm hoping they don't, but it's not as bad as last year, because that last year was a field of yellow, followed by a field of green, followed by a field of brown, and a field of white demon cabbage white moths. And this year it's wheat, so it's really pretty and awesome, and I'm not mad about it, because hopefully that means we have less pest pressure for my brassicas, because it's wheat. But maybe my corn will get attacked. Who knows? We'll see. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And I just remembered I need to get a padron pepper and a green pepper for the lunch that I'm gonna make. So I'm gonna go do that, because yeah, half of the time when I do this, it reminds me of all the things I still need to do. It's okay. We will get there. And for being 1,000 square meters that I'm only using maybe 25% of to grow food, I think we're doing pretty good. I think we're doing okay. Yeah. It's not, like, there's definitely better ways of doing this, and maybe I'll get better at doing it, but for now, I'm pretty good and happy with what we're doing. And these guys seem good and happy, and they're eating all the salad that I decided was no longer fit for human consumption. Hi guys. Yeah, you come have snacks? Or are you full because you had all of the food? Yeah. Thanks for watching.